Sixth grade math, Unit 10 review, Part 6. Okay, now we're going to do surface area. Surface area means if you were to make this box out of cardboard, or you were going to wrap it up with paper, cover all the faces with paper, how many square meters of paper would you need? And essentially what that means is you have to figure out how many faces the thing has and find the area of each face. So here's a face right here. Well, how many square units is that? There's another face back here just like it, okay? And then we've got this face right here, which is just like this face right here. How many square units would you need to make, or square meters would you need to make those? And then we also have the bottom and the top. So there are 6 faces, and you're going to find the area of each face and then add it all up. That's all there is to it. There is a formula for finding the surface area of a rectangular prism, but I think it's more complicated than just finding the area of each face. So the first thing I would do is say there are 6 faces. So I would number my paper from 1 to 6. Okay, with a rectangular prism, basically you're going to take these 3 numbers, 7, 5, and 4, and arrange them in the 3 possible ways that they can be paired up. So this face right here is 7 by 4. So we're going to do 7 times 4, because that's how you find the area of a rectangle, equals 28. And then we're going to agree that this face in the back is the same, and I'll allow you to put ditto marks there. That just means same as the one above it. That's also going to equal 28. Then we've got these sides, which are 5 by 4. 5 by 4 equals 20. And then the other one is exactly the same, and that's always going to be the case with rectangular prisms. You can have pairs of faces. And then you've got the top and the bottom. And those ones are going to be 7 by 5. Or you can just put ditto marks for that one if you want to. And then basically you just add those all up, and that will give you the surface area of the entire rectangular prism. And if you add those all up, you should get 166, and we'll keep our meters, but it's surface area. Hear the word area in there, so it needs to be square meters. And I will expect to see all of this work. Now, if you're having trouble figuring out the dimensions of each side, or of each face, don't worry about that so much. Just pair these numbers up. We pair 7 and 5, there's 7 and 5. Pair 4 and 7, there's 4 and 7. And then pair up 5 and 4, and there's 5 and 4. Okay? And it'll work out that way. Those are all the possible ways those 3 numbers can go together 2 at a time. And that works every single time with a rectangular prism. Okay, next we're going to find the surface area of this square pyramid. We need to know how many faces there are. There's a base that is a square, and then there are 4 triangles that come to a point, so that makes 5 faces. So I'm going to number my paper 1 through 5. I'd like to start with the base because that's the easiest one. It's 8 by 8, which equals 64 square units. Now remember how I told you that we forget the half on the triangles. You have to remember that the area of each triangle has to be multiplied by half. So let's take this triangle right here. It's 1/2 times the base, which is 8, times the height, which is 15. And that's going to equal 60. Now, the beautiful part about this is that because these dimensions are all 8, these 4 triangles are going to all be exactly the same. So we're just going to put ditto marks here. And we know that they're all going to be 60, 60, 60. So those are our 5 faces. And then all you do is add those up to find your surface area. And that should all add up to 304. Keep our units, which would be centimeters. This is surface area, which has the word area in it. So it's square units. The surface area of a cylinder is kind of interesting. I want you to think about what the net of a cylinder would look like. It looks something like this. This part's like a soup can label, and this is like the top of the can, and this is like the bottom of the can. If you fold the lid and the bottom together and then wrap this soup can label around it, you will have a cylinder. So if you are finding the surface area of a cylinder, you're finding the area of this circle, the area of this circle, and the area of this rectangle. A soup can label is like a rectangle, and that's what makes this part of the cylinder right here. Okay, so I have a formula for you, and I want you to understand how the formula kind of makes sense. Okay, here is the formula for the surface area of a cylinder. You need to have that in your notes. Surface area equals height times 2 pi r plus 2 times pi r squared. Now let's go back to this net. I'm hoping that you recognize a couple of things in this formula. 2 pi r is the formula for the circumference of a circle. Circumference of this circle. Now, would you agree that this soup can label, this length of this thing, is the same as the distance around this lid? And that's why we need that. And then the height of the cylinder is right here. So h times 2 pi r gives us the area of this rectangle. And then I'm hoping you also recognize pi r squared. Pi r squared is the formula for the area of a circle. So this gets us one circle, and the fact that we're multiplying it by 2 gets us the other circle. So we've got the rectangle plus the 2 circles. That's where that formula comes from. Even if you don't understand where the formula comes from, you can still use the formula to find the surface area of this cylinder. Okay, so here is our formula. Now we just have to start plugging things in. Height of the cylinder is 20, so we'll plug that in for h. Pi is 3.14 times r, the radius of this circle. They gave us the diameter. If the diameter equals 9 inches, then the radius equals 4.5 inches. It's always half of the diameter. 4.5 for r, 3.14 for pi, 4.5 for r, and don't forget the squared. Now, order of operations tells us we have to square that 4.5 first. I'm very sorry to make you copy all this over again, but I'd really like you to only do one thing at a time. I'm going to change these X's for multiplication to dots, which I already did part of the time. Sorry, I'm confusing you. Okay, so I copied everything right up to that 4.5 squared. So I'm going to put that in my calculator. 4.5 squared is 20.25. Okay, now I want you to notice this plus sign in the middle here. All of this stuff is getting multiplied together, and all of this stuff is getting multiplied together, and then those two pieces are going to be added up. So go ahead and put this stuff in your calculator. 20 times 2 times 3.14 times 4.5. And that should come out to 565.2. And then bring down your plus sign, and then go ahead and multiply these other things together. So we've got 2 times 3.14 times 20.25 equals 127.17, and then just add your 500 number to it. So plus 565.2 gives us a grand total of $692.37 square inches. 692. Can't seem to make the eraser work. 692.37. Keep our inches, but it's surface area, so it's squared. A little bit complicated, but when there's a formula, you just have to plug everything in and simplify.